Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Welcome. Saturday evening. Thought I'd sit down and make a little video. Not 100% sure of what I'm even going to talk about. I mean, I got some ideas, but I don't know really what I'm going to say. Cool t-shirt, sanctifiedsupplyco.com, Fishers of Men. It's what we should be anyways. Doing what Yeshua told us to do. Had a fun day today. This afternoon, late, early evening, I don't know how you, whatever. My wife and I got to go visit with a friend that just had a baby 3 days ago. And it's always, I love babies. I love it. The little bitty, the smell, everything. And so it was really fun for us to go over and check on them and check out the beautiful little baby. And there's some excitement and beyond just that it's a little baby, because I kind of had a little bit of a part into it. I can't tell a whole lot, but I'll tell probably as much as I think I can. This is a friend of ours, and I ended up going on a call, and it was an emergency childbirth. And so I was able to stay with her through the whole process, right up until we had to rush her into labor and delivery. So I was a little bit more involved than the normal situation. Unfortunately for her in the situation, her husband is actually overseas in his work, so he wasn't able to be there. So as a friend, I was able to kind of be there through a good portion of everything. And so it was fun. It was just to get to hold another new life, as bad as things are in the world. And personally, they can be really bad. Obviously, they're bad on a bigger scale when we look around at what's going on, but there's still miracles happening, and a new life is a miracle. And that is an exciting thing, to be able to be even a tiny part, and to be able to be right there just a few days after that baby's birth, and to hold it in your hands. And so it's exciting. And so yeah, I'm a little on a little bit of a high because of that. There are some crummy things going on in the world, and I know I've been talking here lately that I think the war between Iran and Israel is about ready to get fired up again. And seeing what came out in the news today, I think that's almost a confirmed thing at this point. So Israel is saying that they did this before, but Israel is saying that they have evidence or intelligence that Iran is preparing a preemptive strike against Israel, or preparing a strike against Israel. It's possible, I guess. Iran has never done that in its history. They don't usually initiate stuff like that, but it's always possible. But they say that Iran is preparing to strike Israel hard this time, really hard, and that Israel has no other choice but to preemptively strike Iran. So I'd say that's almost an absolute confirmation. I mean, like a 99.9999999%. So that'll get started up again. I mean, the last time it happened, 12 days, it didn't affect us so much, other than it just dominated the news cycle. And right now, considering all the stuff that's going on in the news, certain people would probably enjoy having something else dominating the news cycle. The Epstein stuff is still being talked about, as much as the media and the Trump administration seems to be doing everything they can to try to divert attention away from that. It's still out there. And the New York Times is reporting that from sources they have inside the Trump administration, it's becoming more and more likely that Ghislaine Maxwell will probably get a pardon out of this deal in exchange for her spilling the beans on stuff. That's probably not going to set well with a lot of people. I mean, I certainly don't like the sound of that, especially knowing what we know about her. But hey, I mean, stranger things have happened. Also, And this one's a little weird one. I mean, you can kind of interpret it, I guess, how you want. But Dan Bongino, you know who that guy is, was once a big a social media influencer, podcaster, huge following, who's now the deputy director of the FBI, tweeted that, and I'm not quoting exactly, but he's basically seen things that will forever change him, and he can't get over as the FBI director. That he's seen stuff, he's seen files, he's seen whatever. It's got a lot of people wondering what he's talking about, because he was one of the people that have talked extensively in the past about the whole Epstein case. And so we all know, I mean, part of the reason why it fires us up so much is because of the at the very least, speculation of what went on in that whole circle. So for someone to say, and someone that's actually a former Secret Service law enforcement, to say that he's now seen and he's aware of things that go on that has shaken him to the core, that he will never be the same again. That's saying a lot. Like, what in the world is he talking about? Is it about the Epstein? He didn't say. I mean, that has been the dominant conversation. Is it about other stuff? Is it just, is he seen absolute confirmation that the world is really run by deviant, satanic, evil people? I don't know. But it has a lot of people talking about it, of what exactly he's talking about, because it sounded pretty serious in the message he sent. So I suspect that with the continual talk, which there should be, about Epstein, that we're probably going to at some point see more and more. I mean, we're seeing more stuff that's trying to divert attention from that. You know, it was the whole Obama Russiagate thing, and then Trump came out and said, well, you know, he's not going to get arrested because he has presidential immunity. So it's like, well, what was the big hype about that all about? You know, there's talk of other things. You know, well, you know, maybe we should prosecute. Now he's saying we should prosecute Kamala Harris. She wouldn't have presidential immunity, but I doubt that would happen also. It's almost like they're trying everything possible. Let's just throw stuff out and see what sticks against the wall. And so far, nothing's really stuck enough to divert attention away from, you know, what's really going on. Why are we hiding this stuff, and why are we potentially giving, you know, a pardon? I mean, they already worked out a deal for a limited immunity with Ghislaine Maxwell. You know, she met with the federal prosecutors, and they gave her limited immunity to tell them things that wouldn't, you know, without incriminating herself or without admitting guilt. So she has limited immunity for that. Would there be a full pardon or something like that gets her out of prison? This is getting nasty and deep. And they're doing everything they can to divert attention from it, including a lot of the, you know, social media people online trying to cover for it. So that's going on. And the more damage it seems to be doing to, you know, Trump's credibility, or, you know, seeing poll numbers going down. I saw just recently he has the lowest poll numbers of any president at this point in his term than basically since they started taking poll numbers. So in the first 6 months of becoming presidents, he has the lowest poll numbers of any of them. So, I mean, that kind of stuff, as it continues, could easily mean that something bigger and bigger and bigger is going to happen to divert attention from it. Would a war with Iran and Israel do it? Not necessarily, unless we become much bigger involved, and it's a much more, you know, substantial conflict than what we saw a month ago. Which it certainly could be, especially if China and Russia have been resupplying Iran, which is what all the news is saying. And of course, we've resupplied Israel. Yeah, things could get big. The United States could attack Iran again. And, you know, how will that affect us? I mean, it could affect oil prices. It didn't before. You know, they spiked really quick and then they went right back down. So it didn't affect that. It didn't affect too much of commerce because Iran didn't try to shut down that Strait of Hormuz or anything. But those things could happen. They may not, probably not, but they could. And a lot of other things could happen too, but they don't always. And it's not so much, and I think this is what people need to realize, it's not so much of what actually, the big things that are happening. It's, we have to realize that it's a lot of the little things that are happening too. You know, we expect this big World War III confrontation between Iran and Israel, right? And everyone gets all hyped up for it, and that doesn't happen. But we're still moving the goalposts further down because of the conflict that did happen and the fact that the United States attacked Iran. And it's like the goalpost keeps getting moved further and further back, and a lot of the stuff that I have read over the years about what many people believe will take place as we transition over the next couple of years into this great reset new world order is that's how it will be. That it's not necessarily going to be any singular big event that just shocks the world, at least not now. That it's going to be a lot of small things and leading up. And I think we're still in that stage, which means that when these events happen, they may not necessarily be the end-all be-all, you know, catalyst for a collapse or whatever, but they're moving us closer to that point. So I guess there's two angles to this. Don't get too hyped up over it. Don't get too panicked if you hear that Israel has attacked Iran again, which it, I think, very likely will soon. But yet, on the other hand, don't just discount it and think that it's not a big deal and we don't worry about it and we just move on. We need to find a kind of a happy place in the middle where we are taking this time to continually prepare ourselves, you know, getting stocked up, getting trained, getting, you know, developing the skills that you need, developing the relationships with people that you know, can truly trust, which that's a big hurdle right there of finding people that you can trust. You can find people, but finding the ones you can trust is hard. But we need to be doing those kinds of things. And in the end, the biggest thing, because remember, this is all spiritual stuff. I mean, it's physical. It's just a physical manifestation of what's going on in the spiritual world. We need to be getting our hearts and our families, our relationships in a spiritual sense ready. You know, your relationship with your spouse, the relationship with your children, your relationship with the Father. That all needs to be worked on. Because as we get closer to the end, it's not just World War III or famine or economic collapse or anything else that we have to worry about. We have to worry about this very dark spiritual war between good and evil. And we're caught up in it. How long we will be part of that, who knows? But the fact is that it's pretty clear in Scripture that we're going to see a lot of stuff. We're going to experience, we're going to have that temptation, we're going to go through those trials, and we need to be ready spiritually. And so as we see this continual building, you know, the AI, the corruption, the debt, the wars, the rumors of wars, all that kind of stuff, we need to continually be preparing ourselves here, because it's all signs of the season that we live in, which means it's getting worse, folks, and it's going to be harder and harder to hold to the truth. So be working on that stuff, working on yourself, your family, your preps, yourself spiritually, because it's the world is just getting closer to that point. Folks, it's time to get your houses in order and to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.